All kids out of the pool for Adult Swim. All kids out.
This promo right here is burned into my memory for the rest of my life. For the two of you who don't know, Adult Swim is a nighttime adult-oriented programming block that premiered September 2nd, 2001 and was the gateway for many into a world unlike any other. I'm talking Space Ghost, I'm talking Aqua Teen Hunger Force, I'm talking Cowboy Bebop delocated in the Tim and Eric awesome show, good job! Adult Swim was home to some of the most experimental animated and live-action shows ever to grace late-night television, maybe television in general. As a network, it embodied a generation, and its legacy and influence is still felt to this day. And for that reason, I want to take a moment to discuss why Adult Swim was so important. While Adult Swim officially launched in 2001, its roots go back as far as 1994. Way back in the 90s, there was a show called The Simpsons. You probably never heard of it, but it was a pretty big deal. Due to the popularity of The Simpsons, networks everywhere saw the potential in animated shows aimed specifically at adults, and the Western adult cartoon craze began. South Park, Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill, Eon Flux. All of these shows had the respective impact on the fans and the industry alike, and I can go on for hours about the legacy they all left. I mean, hell, South Park's still kicking. But for our story, only one of these shows matter, and that's 1994's Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Out of the 7 original shows from the Adult Swim Classic lineup, half of them are Space Ghost Coast to Coast spin-offs. And one of them is Space Ghost. Space Ghost's use of surrealist and cringe humor laid the groundwork for what the network would come to be known for. And looking back, the low-budget, minimalistic production of every show was as charming as it was inspirational. The misadventures of talking fast food, or the life of a superhero with a regular job. Every single one of these shows felt like something you and your friends could have imagined, and seeing it done on a network that you watch daily personally inspired my love for animation and birthed a burning desire to create, as well as a dark sense of humor and a sick sense of sarcasm. The classic lineup had something for everybody. Space Ghost with its absurdist cringe-fest talk show format, and my personal favorite, The Brak Show with its hilarious subversion of the sitcom. And hey, what's that? Y'all see that? In the distance, it's oh shit! What y'all thought me saying 7 was a mistake? I graduated high school, I know how to count, thank you very much. As if the 6 original shows weren't enough to warrant praise, the folks over at Adult Swim did the unthinkable and brought a slice of Japan right into our homes. Cowboy Bebop, arguably the godfather of anime, was the first show to ever premiere on Adult Swim, and on its launch night no less. I know a lot of people got their first introduction through Dragon Ball Z and Toonami, but for this guy, Adult Swim was the premier location for all things anime. Yu Yu Hakusho, FLCL, Lupin the Third, and my personal favorite as a child, Inuyasha. I still have vivid memories of waking up in the middle of the night and watching these shows half asleep with the volume on 3 and my finger on the power button just in case Mama Bear decided to come barging in. Adult Swim birthed my love for anime and sparked an appreciation of Japanese culture in me that probably wouldn't have been there otherwise. Had it not been for Adult Swim, I probably never would have heard about half of these shows, and the honor and the privilege to watch them is something that I'll eternally be grateful for. Speaking of shows you probably never would have seen, how could I make a video about Adult Swim and not speak about its mythical ability to revive shows from the dead? Not too long after its inception, Adult Swim became known as the home for prematurely canceled shows. Remember Home Movies? Well, that originally aired on UPN. What about Mission Hill? Well, that show aired and died on the WB before it ever made its way to Adult Swim. What about, say, Family Guy and Futurama, who were both canceled by Fox before their syndication on Adult Swim breathed new life into the series? It's hard to imagine a world without Family Guy or Futurama, but if it weren't for Adult Swim, I mean, who knows? no! While there was a decent amount of canceled shows that made their way to the network, there was also a slew of completed series that got their first exposure to many on Adult Swim. Of course, hella anime made its way over to the network. I mean, duh. But even shows like The Mighty Boosh and The Office UK made its way overseas to give us a taste of that beautiful British sense of humor.
I need this room tonight.
Well, you can't have it.
Why not?
Take a look at my yearly planner.
Not only did Adult Swim revive shows and expose the world to some bygone classics with their reruns, they also had the decency to help end shows that never got a proper finale. I think the most recent example is when Adult Swim helped Genndy Tartakovsky and the Samurai Jack series after over 9 years of hiatus. Now yeah, I guess you could be cynical and spin it to say they only do these things to make money and drive viewership. And I mean, that would make sense. They are a company after all, and we should never pledge allegiance to a company. That's stupid. But since its inception, Adult Swim has always been about low-budget production and giving creators a chance to actually create. And to really see this, you need to look no further than Night of a Thousand Pilots. Taking place on May 13th, 2007, Night of a Thousand Pilots was a one-time special in which 5 new William Street productions aired. Viewers were even allowed to go on the website and vote on which show they wanted to see greenlit. Although only 3 of the 5 shows actually got greenlit and made it on air, this just goes to show how willing Adult Swim was to experiment and engage with their fans, and boy did they love engaging with their fans. Before and after each commercial break, Adult Swim would insert a bump to let you know that you were entering and leaving the network. While the classic Adult Swim bumpers featured old people swimming to really drive home the point of Adult Swim, in 2003 the format would change forever to arguably its best since the network's inception. These little bumps always made Adult Swim feel like an exclusive club, separate from the regular stuff you'd see on TV. After sitting through some schmuck trying to sell you something, Adult Swim would come through with a bumper almost as if to say, hey, commercials are over. Back to the fun. These bumps are usually used to promote a special or give show times or just allow the staff over at Adult Swim to vent about how they're feeling this week. For as short and sweet as these bumpers were, they really made Adult Swim feel intimate, and that intimacy was only driven further by the constant fan engagement. A decent amount of time, the bumpers consisted of answering fan mails or just replying to posts on the website. The folks over at Adult Swim never shied away from poking fun at fans or showcasing art and music that fans submitted. In fact, Adult Swim was pretty big in the hip-hop community at one point. During their anime-themed bumps, they would take music from hip-hop artists, usually sampling the prolific catalog of Madlib, and if you haven't heard of him, I'd do yourself a favor and look him up. Adult Swim embraced underground hip-hop artists and vice versa. Flying Lotus, an artist some of you may be familiar with, got some of his first major exposure on the Adult Swim network when he submitted some music to be played over a few bumps. MF Doom and Danger Mouse even did an entire collaborative project that surrounded Adult Swim and featured multiple characters from different shows. And in 2009, they even went on to make Freaknik the Musical, a parody retelling of the Freaknik festivals that would happen in Atlanta in the 80s and 90s during spring break. And even Odd Future got their chance at a live-action show with the 2012 release of Loiter Squad. Adult Swim has proved time and time again that experimentation and creativity are at the forefront, and while that's brought us some questionable series, it's also brought us a legacy of amazing content from which to draw inspiration from, and birthed the career of many amazing artists who still create to this day. Lauren Bouchard and Brendan Small, creators of Home Movies, went on to create Bob's Burgers and Metalocalypse respectively. Matt Groening and Seth MacFarlane both got a second chance and went on to create arguably 2 of the best adult animated shows ever to grace TV. Adam Reed, creator of C-Lab, went on to make Archer, Space Ghost, Coast to Coast, directly inspired the Eric Andre Show, and I know at least one of you has pulled inspiration from the countless many shows that have premiered over Adult Swim's lifetime. I know for some Adult Swim was just a network, and I know it didn't really appeal to everyone, but for those who it did appeal to, it was a nightly escape into an amazing world. A world consisting of crazy live-action shows and absurdist cartoons, mixed with some dope-ass anime and some cool movies every now and then. It was a network driven by passion for experimentation and creativity, and it was a network where the community always felt engaged and active, and I know nostalgia is playing a huge part in how I feel about it, but I can't invalidate that. It exposed me to so many firsts, and in ways I probably can't even begin to fathom, shaped who I am as a person, and for that, Adult Swim will always be important. Sincerely, a kid who never got out of the pool.